So not too long ago, I think Rita gave Phil Anselmo the thumbs up or the green light to call it Pantera once again. So many mixed emotions. I feel like do not call it Pantera because it's not Pantera without the Abbott brothers. And in this particular case, it was Phil that dissed them for like over a year to the point where they had to go to damage plan and there was this huge like falling out, and he even said in interviews like we had a falling out that's going to be very hard to reconcile. And then Dime get murdered, and Vinny held a grudge against Phil for the rest of his life until he died. But the main ingredient that you need for Pantera is Dimebag, and the reason is not just the way that he played, but his ideas in his head of the riffs that should be made for Pantera in any future albums is way different from Zakk Wylde. Zakk Wylde has a different style of playing. Any new Pantera album would be the four people getting together in a room, maybe fighting it out, saying, hey, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Finally reconciling. Okay. But what would happen in a Pantera reunion, a real one, is they would get together and rehearse for new material, and Dimebag would be the one doing the interviews. And he would talk about his new riffs and what amp he used, why he used this amp, why he used this guitar, and it would be a build-up. He would do interviews after interviews, and then Vinnie Paul would do the interviews also, what happened there, hey, this is how we got back together. And they would do the album first, and the music first, and then Phil would go on with the lyrics, and they'd work around each other and do this huge build-up interview before touring. What happened here was four people decided that, hey, let's call it Pantera and let's tour with Metallica. But it's like this hush-hush, oh, don't call it a cash grab. Oh, well, look at all these other bands where members died and they were still Metallica and they were still Megadeth and there was still this and that. There's a huge difference between dissing two members that are a core part of your band and one of them dies on stage and then just nonchalantly just going off and calling it Pantera and having a member quit the band and then you replace them and you make sure that they're good enough to replace for new material. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't heard them live. I'm not saying that they don't sound good live. I'm not saying that Charlie's not a good drummer. I'm not saying that Zach's not a good guitarist. Everyone knows that he is. I'm not saying that it's disrespectful for him to fill in because, of all people, it should be him. I'm saying it's a tribute band. It's a tribute to Pantera. Yes, it's the closest thing to Pantera that you can call it, but why not just call it a Pantera tribute band? Or why not just call it the Great Southern Disciples or something? The Great Southern Disciples. There you go. Something where it's still Pantera-ish, but it's not Pantera. And I guess I'm one of the people on the other side saying, no, it's not Pantera. And I'm pissing people off. At the same time, people are agreeing with me. But let me know in the comments. Do you think it's still Pantera, or is it just like a good tribute band, or how do you feel about the whole thing? Let me know in the comments, because even if they come out with a new album, that's fine. Absolutely, I'll listen to it, but I'll listen to it not thinking that it's Pantera. Whereas I personally think that Phil should focus on Down. At this point, I'm more excited about a new Down album that I don't think at this point will even happen because Pantera is back, right? And whatever, I don't know. I'm more excited about Down, but no one's getting any younger, you know what I mean? And no one lasts forever, so I don't know if we'll ever have another Down album. Let me know in the comments what you think. All right, peace out, my fellow YouTubers.